All right, everybody. Today we have the one and only Brooks Landry, all the way from half an hour from Oakland, East Bay area. He is the CEO of Content Trip, I believe it was. He was the former CEO of Envision Media. He's a realtor, father of four, I believe. Four?
I only know of three. I got three in the bag. Yeah.
Four, including Roland.
Yeah. Rolling.
All right, Brooks. Also, he's a model for Supercuts, if you guys didn't know that.
Can't believe they stole that picture. Unreal.
You need royalties on that.
I do. It's absurd. It's
It's funny
ridiculous.
because I showed all the girls there a picture of you too. I'm like, this is him. I know this guy. They're like, what? Get out of here, fucking weirdo. All right, Brooks, tell us a little bit. How did you get started in real estate? Let's start from the beginning. I want to hear all the dirty details.
Yeah. So originally from the East Coast, moved from New England to California when I was 20. Actually turned 21 2 days after I moved to San Diego. Complete disaster, hell of a time. But I immediately got into the mortgage industry, cold calling, originating home loans for about a year and a half. Graduated into being able to originate second mortgages and then first mortgages, and then started to kind of translate into running a team. I was in the mortgage industry for almost 7 years, and then the market cranked, completely dropped. Right, 2008, 2007, 2009. I got my license in '09, and started door knocking in this specific little neighborhood. I had a business coach that we're trying to figure out what area we could build a farm. And I'm a big believer in growing a farm, owning a farm, being the person that knows, likes, and they trust. So I just went aggressive door knocking in one of the most competitive areas here in the East Bay, and they were owned by
Were you
two
still a
or
mortgage broker at this time?
no. So I got my license in '09. Got my real estate license in '09. So
Tell us how bad for the Canadian audience here. How bad 2008 got for you guys? Because we got a trickle of it here, but not nearly. Like I have people all the time being like, "Oh, have you seen The Big Short? We're gonna crash here." And I actually read The Big Short, the book and everything, so I actually know what caused it.
yeah,
To explain to people why it's completely different now. But just to give us kind of a breakdown of how bad it was.
it was easily the worst real estate market the country has ever seen. I mean, we saw I would say, how do I put this in the context? There was, if you're a new realtor getting into it, and I think that's one of the things I've been talking to a lot of agents that have been in the industry for the past couple of years, and they're starting to kind of go through a really difficult time. These are small changes compared to like '09, and I may sound like a boomer in this, but I'm telling you, back in my day, it was aggressive. I mean, every home was either a short sale or a foreclosure. There was a significant drop in property values. So imagine kind of working with a new buyer. Sean, you're my buyer. We're starting to look for properties in a specific city. Property values are going down. Your confidence as a consumer is at the
What's the demographics of the city? Just as a buyer, I'm curious.
yeah. So I got a big Indian Asian kind of demographic in our area. And
Cool.
so, but I mean, just really kind of everywhere there was this consumer confidence of what the hell is coming up, what's coming up around the corner. So like you and I are starting to work on, maybe I'm representing you as a buyer. We find a property, and then, it's a short sale. We get that offer accepted by the seller. We turn it into the bank. We turn it into the short sale negotiator. 3 months later, they decide to decline it. You got to start the process over. So being able to kind of manage expectations in a 3 to 4 to 6 month time frame was insanely difficult. And then you got to have those curveballs of, you and I get into escrow on 123 Main Street, and then 456 Main Street comes on the market $400,000 cheaper, and you're like, why don't I just back out? And you're like, the long and short of it was
And they're
insane.
not really wrong for wanting to back out. Like, how do you
Yeah,
tell them not to?
yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't blame you. That home's 400 under. And unfortunately, that's what was happening. You were starting to see people just list properties significantly lower than they should have. Banks weren't even approving the short sales in most cases. Then you had to go through the process of a loan modification. It was just a huge cluster.
And banks were going bankrupt. Like, even
Yeah,
weren't they down there? Like
yeah,
that isn't happening. We have like six major banks here. We don't do it like you guys do, right? Like you guys have a million little banks too. We don't have that here as much. Like we have B lenders, but like it's different here. Um, Here's a great script I actually use whenever people bring up in 2008. I go, well, if you bought at the peak of 2007, by now you would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars. So look at it that
yeah.
way.
Yeah. So, full transparency, we lost literally everything. We had 5 different investment properties around the country. We had a couple in Florida. We had one in San Diego, two in the East Bay. I'm sorry, one in one in the East Bay, one in Arizona, and we lost everything. Literally completely set us back to the point where, we had to short sale our properties. It was just a domino effect, a snowball effect that was damn near impossible to get out of. But yeah, we had a lot of smaller banks go out of business. So just to kind of put it into context, when I got into the industry, I knew nobody from the Bay Area. I knew nobody from California. I was from New England. So in order for me to have a sphere of influence, my entire sphere, everybody either owned a mortgage company or they owned a real estate company. They were never going to hire me. So every single one of those people went out of business. A lot of them got sued. A lot of them paid massive fines because of some of the predatory lending that bigger banks were allowing some of the brokers to do. It was dangerous. It was an awful time in real
So
estate.
it was almost like being the mortgage broker back then was the cool thing, other than being the real estate agent, right? Like you could do
Oh
like a
yeah.
million, you could 20 mortgages in a day or something, right? Like,
It was insane. You had people coming in, and that's where hopefully we don't go down this route. And you start to see some creative financing kind of slowly coming in within the industry. But when I say creative financing back then, you had acronyms for, NINA was no income, no assets. You didn't have to
yeah,
prove income, you didn't have to prove assets. You had stated income, stated asset deals, and then the mortgage broker was making 4 to 5 points on the back,
yeah.
charging you a point up front, and it was absolutely absurd. It was the Wild West. It was Wolf of Wall Street meets Boiler Room.
Wow. But you
Yeah.
know what? If you survive that and you learn from that, like you're like you can probably just thrive in these times, knowing like how bad it can get. Like I know that makes you sound older, but like when you look at these people complaining about like interest rates going up, like that's pennies compared to how bad it can get.
Well, there was times I'd always go in every Saturday and Sunday and start making calls when I was still doing loans during that time. And I would, follow up on my leads, cold call for new leads. And I can't tell you how many times I was on the phone with somebody that was 50, 60, 65 years old. And they're like, Brooks, I just lost everything. My
Wow.
401k is gone. Everything's gone. My home is 500,000 upside down. That was my nest egg. And it was just like it was kind of I remember coming back and saying, what a shitty time, but I'm
Like just gone,
25.
not even like dropped hard. It's gone. You're saying
Oh,
like literally
it's
just
gone.
holy crap.
Zero. You have zero left, and you can't live off of your retirement brings in 1,500 a month or whatever the case may be. Maybe you've got some sort of pension, if that was still around, depending on where you're a part of. Just a very difficult time, really shitty time for the industry. And then obviously the big banks, Lehman Brothers went out. I watched The Big Short many times, and
It's a great
Netflix.
movie, right? But
It is. But when you start to hear everybody kind of panic about, um, the commissions, the buyer commissions here in the States, and everybody's really kind of wondering. It all really kind of boils down to owning an area that people know, like, and trust you, that they can rely on you in, and you just have to keep pushing. You have to keep pushing through this. This is going to be nothing. This
I
change.
also think some sellers around here, I tell them to shut up when they complain about agents. I'm like, you just like make $1 million in your shitty investment you spend 50 grand on when you're 18. You got lucky, you know what I mean? Then you're complaining to pay for it.
Right, right. And
You're
you
not
always see
complaining
that.
when I'm getting you this bidding war of 30 people, but now
Well, you always see that meme of, like, these boomers complaining or bragging about how much money they made because they bought their home for like a pack of gum and 5 raspberries. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
exactly right. It's like, oh, I gotta pay realtor fees, it's corruption. It's like, ah, shut up. You're like a millionaire for doing nothing, right?
exactly, exactly.
All I'm doing is trying to make you more money here, right, buddy? Get off my case. Right.
Yeah,
So
the transition costs from selling are aggressive. Especially out here. Our average sales price is about 1.8. So our base property, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, I just sold. It was a 1,700 square foot, no backyard, for 1.4 with
wow.
multiple. So
What do you think is causing everyone to hate the realtors and the commissions and the lawyers? I think are they just seeing how much money we're making now? Because they didn't care if we're doing 6% when houses were 200,000 for decades. Now we're
Yeah,
making tons through no fault of our own, other than just doing our job.
I
It's
think there's
always
a I
yeah,
think it's a combination of the reason for hate. I think there's a lot of jealousy.
yeah.
There's a lot of people that try to get into the industry, think it's easy, realize that this is incredibly difficult. I think there's a combination of I'm willing to bet that the uh, maybe the hate started to change around $1 million listing when that came out, and you start to see all these fools. You're like, these guys are doing this and making 400, 300 off that. And then they
Yeah.
start to, and realtors are amazing marketers to an
Yeah.
extent, right? So when they get inundated with all these crazy things, they're like, I
I
gotta
blame trends on social media. People are like, I don't want to see another fucking realtor do a voiceover.
no, no. I mean, it's insane. Like yesterday, I made this comment about, and it was the funniest, ironic, and I kind of like bit my tongue a little bit in the grocery store. But I took a picture of this guy's number one realtor, and everybody does this, But I'm the number one realtor, but there was like three marketing pieces of I'm the number one realtor in a row, and I took a picture. I was going to send it to Matt and Roland, and this lady looked at me and she's like, I'm like, oh no, I swear, I wasn't taking a picture of you. I was taking taking a picture of the divider of the groceries. And she's like, oh, the number one realtor. She's like, isn't it funny that all the realtors think they're number one? And I'm like, I didn't
It's
want
like number one realtor fine print on the street. Like
I'm telling you, my new marketing is going to be, I'm not the number one realtor, but at least I'm honest. And I think we'll
but
see. We'll see how that
I'm
plays.
gonna put I'm not number one, but I'm working hard to be number one. So I'll do lots like anything, right?
Totally. The last thing I wanted after we had that brief little discussion, I don't want her to be like, so what do you do for work? I'm a
So you're
realtor.
cutting out a little bit there. You
Oh,
might cut out first.
oh, can you hear me? You got me?
Yeah, now you're good. Sorry, what did you say?
I just didn't want her to ask me what I did for work. I didn't
Yeah.
want to have to tell her I'm a realtor after that.
Yeah. So are you a lot of people don't realize the average agent, like in my area, makes 43K a year that
Mhm.
actually sells houses. It's literally that small. Like the agents that do well do very well, but like look, they don't realize how much fucking goes into it. Wouldn't even be this job wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't for the commissions we get at this point, I feel.
Yeah,
Um, maybe a little less or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, they don't really, sometimes I'm working for 6 months for people and get nothing. Like, they don't
yeah.
see that side of it and all that. And I don't know. Like, I don't know if it'll come to Canada. I think it will. We usually follow suit with you guys, but how do you think this is going to change for the industry? Better, worse? What do you think?
As far as the commission deal,
Yeah.
well, I mean, there's so many. I still think there is a lot of moving parts with it. I still think that there's going to be a lot of people that don't have their structure together as far as what they're willing to charge with buyer compensation. The last thing the consumer wants is the hourly rate for the realtor. And I'm starting to hear more people talk about, hey, hourly rate, we can charge this. I saw a guy from Real make a comment a couple days ago about how the attorneys were pulling in something like 80 million, something absurd, some ridiculous amount of compensation from the benefits of it. And it's like, you know, if we ever went to an hourly rate program, that's disastrous. That I mean, I've worked with clients for a year and a half. Do you know how many disclosures there are I know Canada, you've got like 3 pages of a purchase contract, but like in
It's like
California, you've got
14. We have one that's like new, that's 14 now. We just send before every
it,
showing, even that
yeah,
just because we're trying to get ahead of what you guys are doing. So, like, they're bringing in all
yeah.
these things now. Um,
So like
yeah,
Compass, for example, discloses like out of control, right?
yeah.
And they're a massive conglomerate. So I go if I have a client looking at a property represented by a Compass agent, it's not uncommon for us to have 150 to 175 disclosures. So if you're doing an hourly rate, which I don't see this as a business model that is likely going to happen. But if I'm reading through that 150 to 175 disclosures and I'm up against 4 to 5 other people, we don't get the offer, we go to find another home. This happens for the next 6 to 7 months. That hourly rate goes up aggressive. But then you start to think, what do I charge? Do I go and do I want to charge something along the lines of an attorney that is going to have, or do I go back to 50, $60 an hour? Maybe I'm a high-end mechanic. Maybe I'm this and that. You know what I mean? So there's so many different ways to kind of play it. But that hourly
And
rate
it'll
stuff.
hurt sellers because agents are going to be getting paid either way. That fight is not there to get your commission. Like, and it's
Yeah,
like, wow, okay, if this one doesn't go through, I can keep charging them more. You know what I mean? You're going to get those scumbag
yeah.
agents. It's only going to hurt sellers in the end because one of the things is with these big bidding wars is like, how is that going to happen when buyers are representing themselves? They're not even going to know where to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, sellers are going to lose out, I think, big time on this too.
How many stories do we all have on
Yeah.
here where you've represented a buyer? Like, for example, I represented a buyer last year in Danville, this town I live in, and all the inspections, the typical home that passed the roof inspection, all that was ready to go. The termite, the whole 9 yards. But the home was built in the 70s. Likely around those time, you're going to want to do a new sewer lateral inspection to get an idea if the sewer and the piping is up to par. Last minute, I decided to throw that in on top of the contingencies. The seller hemmed and hawed about it. We've already got our inspections, this should have come up. Well, come to find out, it was a little over $30,000 in issues that needed to be fixed. So we then leveraged that against the seller to have them pay for it. But the average buyer doesn't know that. They don't know what the basic, if we're just talking just talking inspections, they think it's, what is the roof like? Do we have termites? And, am I going to need to replace these appliances? There's a million
yeah,
more things.
my buyer yesterday saw like the drop ceiling, saw like a brown spot, and like there's water damage in this house. I'm like, that could be like, no, there's not. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know, and they're not supposed to know. I'm not knocking them. That's why they hire us. It's not their job to know.
Exactly.
It's our job, right? Like when I go buy a car, I don't know fuck all. I expect someone to help me, right? So
exactly. I can screw a light bulb in. That's about when it comes to the property. But when if I had $1 for every time I had somebody make a huge deal out of cracks in stucco, that's like the one thing that stucco is guaranteed to do is crack. And it's like, I mean, there's issues with it. Sometimes there isn't, but there's just a lot of unknowns, and it's unfortunate.
What do you think of building the commission into the mortgage or something like that? Because like I know brokers do it here, they charge it into the mortgage kind of thing, like mortgage brokers. Some of them do it here. If they go through a B lender, they charge it in there, right? So you're not paying it up front. And it's like $8,000 still for a lot of them, right? So what do you think about things like that?
So you're saying, as far as I represent you on the buy side, you don't have money to pay me, so we have the lender build it in and finance it
Yeah,
the loan.
the 2%, 2.5%, we build that in there. Or if the seller's offering something, we deduct that. Like you just
so
make it the pitfall.
That's something that I know of. There isn't any banks yet that do it, but I'm sure they're feverishly working on ways to figure it out in the US, because again, we talked earlier about creative financing. I think that's the next creative financing move that starts to actually pull up, because it makes sense. It's essentially, when you're representing a buyer in the first place, the compensation that's being paid, the seller of the property, if it was 2.5%, 3%, 2%, whatever the case may be, that was still essentially being financed into. I mean, if you want to go the roundabout way of doing it, it was happening before, but now it's just a point where, I mean, there's so many things that would have to change. Mortgage insurance would probably be a little bit more expensive. There's so many other fees that are going to be adjusted to that.
And it'll just bring down prices of houses. They're working their commission into it. Again, the seller's going to lose out on that.
Yeah.
So I mean, all these people can complain about losing commission. They're just going to lose that money or more.
Exactly. I mean, we're starting to see, and even over the past couple of weeks, looking at the MLS, we're seeing more 2% and 1.5% offers to the buyer's agent.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's a bold statement.
The agents be the first to shoot themselves in the foot because they don't know how to talk. They're scared to talk to their clients too. Like most agents, like the agents that thrive in this will thrive big time. And the agents that are scared to ask for a commission to their buyer's agent are just going to quit. You know what I mean? Like most people are just terrified to do that.
So in my area that I sell in, I've been on hundreds and hundreds of listing appointments, buyer appointments. I've never once been on one where I wasn't negotiated. So the whole understanding of nobody knew, this was fixed, stop it. Any seller homeowner that says that is being foolish. That was never the case. I go to listing appointments a lot of the times, and there will be an Excel spreadsheet broken down on compensation, on incentives to be hit. It's a negotiation 100% of the time.
It's just lawyers pissed off. They're seeing our checks. They went to school for 8 years. Like maybe I can get some money out of this,
Totally.
right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Exploit pissed off home sellers, right? So, and even like everyone's like, oh fuck realtors. Like when I negotiate with for sale by owners, they are single-handedly the worst negotiators. They just want to fight you, first of all. I'm trying to work with them. Right. They lose way more than they're paying commission. Like I show over and over again how much they're losing because they just don't know what the fuck they're doing with their cell phone pictures and fighting with everyone and wanting to be right and wanting to prove that they can do it. And the bottom line is, I think if there's a market for us, it will fix itself out and something will work out. If working with a realtor is beneficial for everyone, it's just going to work itself out. You know what I mean? It's a rough time right now, but I think people are more scared than they need to be, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. I agree. I think anything new, I was talking to a buddy of mine, Sean Herrero, who does a ton of business in the lending industry. He's been doing it forever. And he's like, this happened when they started to adjust from points on the back and upfront costs to basis points. And it weeded out an insane amount of mortgage professionals, brokers, where it just got to the point, and he's like, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of people, and it's unfortunate because there is going to be a lot of people that leave and give up on the industry because they're like, I don't want to get uncomfortable and talk to Sean about, hey, listen, here's how this is likely going to play out with 123 Main Street. Hopefully they offer compensation. I don't know yet until I make the conversation, have a conversation with them. But if not, this is what my fees are going to be. But you guys have been doing that in Canada. I was talking to Ali about this a while ago, and she's like, that's what we do. Like if Sean's offering 1%, on the buyer's compensation, then, and I want 2.5, then my contract with the buyer's agent, I'm going to get the difference on it. So I think,
Brooks is dating a girl from Toronto, so he's basically Canadian, just in case you guys didn't know that.
yes.
Me and her did a deal together. Did she ever tell you about that?
Oh yeah, no, she did. Remember we were in Dallas and you
Oh
guys were
yeah,
going.
we got in a fight. It was funny. Yeah. Um. Anyway, where was I? Yeah. So, what the hell was I gonna say? Another thing too with sellers, like if I have a seller who's selling and buying with me, I'm still gonna charge them 5%. And if I'm keeping it anyway, I'm keeping that 2.5 for when you buy with me, unless they pay me. You know what I mean? So I'm like, there, now you're covered for buy and sell. So
Well, and the smart sellers will understand it's best for me to have maximum exposure. And
I'm always
unfortunately,
gonna offer buyer's commission if we're
oh,
allowed to.
totally. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell my buyers I won't work with sellers that won't, because you know what I mean. I don't. That's the way it's gonna be. So
Yeah. No, because who wants to work for free? They're going to realize that
yeah,
everything is changing, but nothing's changing in the same text,
yeah,
right? Like we're having a little bit of an adjustment here, but it's just going to be a mindset of I love the fact that the transparency is great. I think
yeah.
there's too many people that never made the conversation with the listing agent. If you're calling me about a listing of mine, you're a buyer's agent. You're going straight to showing time to make the appointment instead of calling me and figuring out what the seller's expectations are. What's the motivation for the sale? What do I need to know about the home? So I think that's going to be good because now you guys got to call. Now we all have to call the listing agent to figure out, first of all, is there buyer compensation? Because I need to know how do I structure this deal with the buyer that I have in place. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it
Yeah,
plays out.
yeah. Like I did 32 showings last week between 4 buyers, and I'm like if this is gonna go down, like, and I'm not getting paid, I just wouldn't do it. It's just bottom line. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
just hoping
no.
one of the sellers offers me something, and it's just like, no, I'm gonna make sure I have something ironclad that I'm getting paid for this, and not just hoping we get the right house that a seller's offering it. So I don't know. It's gonna be weird, but I'm also excited. I don't know if it's coming to Canada. Remax came out saying it won't, that we're more organized, but I don't buy that. I think eventually it will follow suit.
Yeah, but and it all depends on kind of how to have the conversation with the buyer. So any buyers that I'm working with, like, you want as a buyer, you want to have a buyer broker agreement in place with that agent. Why not? Why
Yeah,
not hold them to whatever they say they're going to do? So if I'm any buyer I'm representing, we've got a very thorough kind of going through all withdrawals, expireds, direct mail marketing campaign. So we put a ton. We try to create the market instead of waiting for the homes to hit the market. But I'm
yeah,
not doing that unless we have a contract signed.
yeah.
So if you
I'm
want
already
to,
working on packages. Like, if you want to go drive around and you don't want to pay me 2.5%, I'll just do the contract for you. You know,
Mhm.
1%. I'll do the
Yeah,
contract, and then eventually I feel they're just like, okay, fuck it, show us. We'll do 2%. I feel like after they see it,
yeah.
like I'm gonna start small with them. Like, this is what I'll offer. They're like, we'll start with this, and they'll say, fuck it, I don't know what I'm doing, and they're like, okay, we'll do the 2%.
I had a conversation with a past client of mine or a client of mine about a month ago. This was before everything really started to roll out. And he's like, Brooks, I'm buying a home in here, blah, blah, blah. I just want to confirm you're going to give me half of your commission. And I said, no, that's not happening. And it was like
Yeah,
just a simple one line. And he's like, well, why not? The sales price is this. And I'm like, that's not what I do. I don't do that. So, I'm not going to lose a chance to work with you. Want inspections paid for, reimbursed, or do you want
yeah.
like, what do you want?
When they
And
ask
he
for money, I don't work with them. But I'll do everything for them. Like, I paid for a client's furnace. They didn't ask me to. But
Yeah,
if you start asking me for money, I'm like, get the fuck out of my life.
I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, my area, and Rich can probably attest to this, is insanely difficult. I'll have
And the
people,
agents that do it don't last. They
Yeah,
come in
well,
1%, they give you all their money. They don't fucking last.
no, well, the conversation started to go, okay, so you want some compensation, so you don't want me to do anything? You just want me to
Yeah,
write the contract? If that's what you're looking for me to
yeah,
give you a couple bucks, that I'm still not comfortable with that. But
yeah,
I'll get calls from clients that'll say, Brooks, you've sold 4 homes on the street. Billy referred you, Rich referred you, Kristen referred you. What's your compensation? And if you don't respond to that properly, they hang up the phone. They've already qualified you in the first few
yeah.
seconds of saying how qualified you were to represent them and your proof piece and whatnot. But it's just like if you don't answer that properly, it's over.
Often they're the worst clients who they want the most. People that want deals want the most,
Yeah.
It
right? Even
definitely
sales. So
it definitely happens on the
time is
East Bay
better
side
spent.
more.
So your time is better spent working with clients that will pay you full commission, rather than wasting all your time with the shitty clients.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rich. What were you saying?
Sorry, it definitely happens on the East Bay side more than like the Peninsula side.
Yeah.
Those deals like looking for uh money back or the lowest commission possible.
Hold on. So I just got this in the mail.
Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of that agent?
I've never heard of him.
And you won't a year from now. I'm telling you, like these one percenters and stuff, like they suck. And you see those shitty signs on the lawn.
Read it.
And
Read it, Brooks.
Read it. So it says, don't miss this opportunity to sell your home this summer, 2023. This came in last week. What year are we in? And then it says, contact us today for a free, no obligation analysis on your property. What else do we have? We've got the phone numbers start with a 408. So if you know the Bay Area, that's the South Bay, it's Silicon Valley, that's San Jose.
there's only one place the money's coming out of when they cut commission. That's marketing your property. They're not.
Yeah.
It's always.
Yeah.
It's only one place.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I didn't even notice the 2023 until you just made me read it right
But
there.
it-
Saw the 1.5. I'm like, what is this?
It could also be a play on trying to like buy the property outright. So like
Yeah.
they're teasing the 1.5, but when they go in, it's like, oh well, 1.5 is if we're
Yeah.
actually buying the property for you. But
Yeah, we get
if
the
we're
buyer
actually
side, you
marketing
buy with us.
anything. So
I always tell them, like, interview this 1% that you saw the sign. Interview them and then tell me, see what they offer compared to what I offer, and then let me know what you want.
but then
Because
again, average 1.8 million, like all of our properties in the Bay Area are basically over $1 million. So it's a little different when 1.5% on $1 million is still 15 grand. 1.5% on $100,000 home in the Midwest is $1,500. Like it's a huge difference.
But
I'm not averse to giving deals if they're just buying with you and stuff. I go down to 4.5. I've done 4. Like I've done that before. I had a $2 million property one time. I did 4 because they bought with me too. You know what I mean? I still made like 60 grand. I'm not complaining.
right.
So I'm not averse to that, but it always has to make sense. I'm not just going there offering 1%. You know what I mean? Like it has to make sense money wise. Like so.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. I learned that when I got into the industry. Truthfully, I got into the industry out of the mortgage industry in 2009, as I mentioned before. I got my license, and I'm like, I had no broker. It was just myself and my wife, and we're like, let's just go aggressive. Let's do as much as we possibly can. So we started marketing. We'll sell your home for 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, and for about 6 months we did that. I must have got an incredible amount of like death threats from realtors. They're like, you're such a blah, blah, blah. That is not how you do. But I'm like, I had no idea. I just thought, this is a capitalist. Let's do as much as we possibly. I immediately switched that up.
Yeah.
Definitely made some enemies within the industry. But so I can't really hate on him too much, but it's just that's not the flow.
A lot of the older agents, like the brokers I've worked with too, like my one guy, he won't cut his commission because he's been doing it forever. He does 6% still. He's been doing it forever. He won't do staging. He won't offer anything extra to him. Like, buddy, like you're not even worth 6% at this point. Like his photos are shit. So sometimes I'm careful who I listen to as well. I'm like,
No,
he goes,
totally.
never cut your commission. I'm like, okay, sure, but offer something more than just fucking this shit, right? So
I've had a ton of realtors that come into my listing appointment and be like, what? How much are you charging? I'm like 2.5 on the listing side. Like, I won't even do anything less than 3. I'm like, well, you're an idiot. because this is a $2 million property. That's a
Yeah.
$70,000 compensation. That doesn't make any sense. You have to give to get in some cases.
Yeah.
I've sold homes for free. I've literally staged properties, marketed properties, cleaned them, and charged zero compensation.
But they're
because
buying, right?
Well, because they were buying, but on top of that, there was one case in particular where she had to. She was in a tough family dynamic. It was not healthy. She needed to get out. This needed to happen. It's like, okay. But because of that, I've got like 7 referrals from her and her entire family. I just flipped the property that she gets. So it's like, these are the little things where this is a relationship-based business, and the churns and burns for leads, I think is a tough way to kind of run the business. Those leads can be taken away. The growth through social media can be taken away. I think we saw Instagram go down a couple of months ago or a week ago, and people were like rocking back and forth in the shower. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
there needs to be a structure to how to grow and how to maintain the business over time. 70% of my business every year comes from the work I put in door knocking my first 3 years into a farm. And that's the truth.
I did 1% one time because COVID hit.
Mhm.
And I basically the deal wouldn't close. They already bought a house if I didn't go drop my commission. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a buyer from that who's done 6 deals with me now
Yeah.
literally to realtor.ca.com from that listing.
Yeah.
This is 4 years ago now. Literally through referrals, and they bought and sold 3 times with me. Literally 6 deals. One was a rental, but
If you do good business, it's always going to come back. And that's where it's like, listen, I rarely lose an opportunity to work with somebody due to compensation within reason. And that's kind of like, even when I get the calls from clients that are like, how much do you charge? Like I was mentioning before, you've sold all these homes, this guy referred you, what is your compensation? And my response every single time is, listen, I rarely am going to lose an opportunity to work with you due to compensation. And then I immediately cut into, obviously within reason, right? And 100% of the time, they're like, oh, no, totally, I get it. And then you've already started the kind of process. They know you're willing to give, you're a team player, back and forth. And then it always turns out to 2.5%, 2.25. So,
and you don't want to be too much of a pushover, because who wants to hire someone that can't even freaking fight back for their own money? You know what I mean? How are they going to fight for your money?
right. Yeah, I'll sell your home for a 0.5 point.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Okay,
negotiate.
please. For free. I'll pay you, right?
Exactly.
A lot of new agents I had this argument with, because they go through the training, it goes, know your worth, don't cut your commission. And they're like, I know my worth. I'm like, you sold 1 house. What is your worth? Like, seriously, like you take the lower one sometimes to get the practice.
Yeah.
I argue with the newer ones. I'm like, you don't want to get into a habit of it, but if you need business and you need the practice, it's okay to cut when you're new, because you're not worth the same as the guy who's been doing it 10 years, just because they told you were at the brokerage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've had that
Yeah.
argument with newer agents a few times, but
Yeah, but it's also important, and that's where it really depends. If I'm getting into the industry today and I'm starting real estate, I got my license yesterday, and I'm panicking about what the compensation is going to be. I'm going one of 2 routes, in my opinion. One of them is new construction. I'm going to try to be in a new construction community. I want to build out a big community. I want to build relationships with everybody that buys and sells within that community, because over time you're going to have turnover. You're going to have a built-in sphere, a built-in farm, built-in return of business. Or I'm just going to the best real estate agent team in the area, and I am saying, do you want me to get you water? Do you want me to put
I will
your
do
lock?
all your open houses and showings for you.
I'll do anything. I'll do it at a 50-50. I'll do it at a
Yeah.
40-60. Teach me everything, because I want to know where that value comes from. My
It's
son,
getting paid to do schooling, right? Because I used to go
Totally.
watch home inspections my first year for all my people, right? Just to learn. And I did open houses for them every weekend. Yeah, that's how you learn. And I hated being on a team after 2 years, but I don't regret. Like, I learned how to cold call. I learned how to do so many different things marketing from them, that it was worth. Like, a lot of my sales were just mine that I brought in anyway, and I would have got more. But I'm like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So they
Yeah.
helped me with this. So it was worth it to me.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to understand that, and it doesn't matter how old you are getting into the industry. If you're struggling now and you were on your own as a single agent, and you need to take a step back and go to that top agent, why not do it now instead of think that you're going to figure this out on your own if you don't have the support? And unfortunately, a lot of brokerages don't offer that type of support. So go I would go to a big dog if that's.
I'm 7 years in. I haven't figured this out. So the first year, people are fine.
Still, we're just winging it. This whole thing.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about content drip. Sorry, we went off topic there. I want to learn about that. Shit. Sorry.
Yeah. So content drip was really built off. So we attempted this with Envision at first. This was so we started I kind of have to backtrack a little bit. We started Envision really just to make some cooler listing videos. There wasn't anything out there that everything was a 3-minute video with the piano in the background type of stuff. We wanted to cut it under a minute, put some, you know, a little bit of dance, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of rock, but then we started to kind of transition as the market transitioned into creating short form content. And it's really how I've grown my business and stayed top of mind in front of all of my database. So I've always tried to be in their inbox, in their mailbox, and in their on social media. So kind of fast forward, we, you know, moved on, and you know, I separated from Envision and moved on into Content Drip, and really wanted to recreate what we were trying to do over there. So essentially Content Drip is we batch short form video content for realtors and lenders all over the country. We'll soon be getting into Canada with the help of Allie and what she's bringing to the table. And really what we do is we write the content, we coach you through how to deliver it on camera, we edit it for you. We have a social posting platform. We're eventually getting into long form, but the purpose of it is really to make sure that we've got enough, that our clients have enough relevant content that either answers questions that their clients are asking, or, you know, brings up questions that they don't even know to ask. So the whole purpose of it is just to drip on the clients with actual relevant stuff, whether it's news that's breaking, the decision with NAR settlement, or something as generic as, I don't know, you know,
And
state.
nowadays, people need to get the help more than ever. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much to learn and stuff out there. Like I got people I used to try and run my own Facebook Google leads. I hired a company. It's just get the fucking help. If you don't know what you're doing on video, just get the help.
Yeah.
Spend the money. You'll make more money. It'll get you to where you want to get faster. Just don't do everything on your. Like, I edit all my own videos because I love doing it.
Yeah.
Every time I hire a guy, they just don't do the way I do it. But it's because I just am passionate about doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How time consuming is that?
Ton. I'm up till 3 in the morning sometimes on Adderall, but I wouldn't change. I love doing it though. That's the thing. I wouldn't change it because it's actually relaxing and fun for me.
Yeah.
I was a comedian for years. I was making funny videos before real estate.
Yeah, totally.
So, but I tell people all the time, like, don't do what I'm doing. Like, you're not gonna want to do this. I generally can't stop doing it. Sometimes I want to edit all fucking night, especially on Adderall. I love Adderall.
I love Adderall. I love Adderall. I love Adderall. Yeah. No.
Sponsor Adderall today. The before appointments. No, just kidding. But yeah, like I tell people all the time, like, don't just, if you're just doing crappy trend videos, you'll get nothing out of it most likely. But you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Hire a company like what you're doing to help you with this.
Yeah, a big thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rebecca.
When you're filming the videos, are you then embedding them into an email, or
So
is it just going on social? What are you doing with the video?
So that I was just about to say that. You read my mind. We are actually rolling out a email templated system that does it for you as well. So essentially, the whole purpose of it is we really want to handle like 95% of the heavy lifting for the clients. You know, they don't know what to write. They don't know how to structure a script. They don't know how to, you know, deliver it on camera. Editing's a pain in the ass. When do I post? How do I post? What are the captions? We handle all of that for you. So what we started to do is kind of roll out through the social media side for the past, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months as we launched, probably really launched last October, September, October. And then as we move into the second quarter here, it's building out the email database. So you'll have a template based off, it'll be branded specifically to your brand. We will build out the template for you. We'll embed the videos that we think are going to be the most engaging with how the market's turning, or however we prepared them for you. There'll be a little bit of help back and forth from you to me or you to my team as far as what we can add with local knowledge. And then we'll essentially say, Rebecca, do you like it? Yes. Boom, hit send, and it hits your entire database. So we're working on a partnership deal with Constant Contact right now, where it's essentially giving significant discounts to everybody that we work with. But it builds it in a completely different way. We have a whole nother system that we're starting to roll out, a direct mail marketing piece as it turns the video, and it's like QR codes on steroids. So literally this week, as soon as we get off the phone, I'll start rolling that out to my database or to my farm. And the whole purpose is, again, in the mailbox, in their inbox, and in their social media.
Do you have any more questions, Rebecca? I just don't want to cut you off. I'm bad at cutting people off. Do you form to the person? Like, say I hired you and I need funny stuff. Do you kind of form, or do you kind of just take it over to help the person? Like, do you work as a partnership kind of thing, or are you guys more based on just controlling it for them, what you think works best for them?
Yeah, so we're actually in the process, and since we brought Ali on, we're in the process of kind of revamping all of the content altogether. So we're going to have kind of like an a la carte option where anybody that does want the one-on-one, like we've got clients in Florida and Texas, Oklahoma. This one guy in Oklahoma wants a lot of new construction-based stuff. So we're writing content specifically around him and the new construction portion of it so that he can market and kind of show him as the expert within that area. And it gets a little tricky. It's not going to be a one size fits all when it comes to the one-on-one a la carte stuff, because, for example, the guy I'm speaking about in Oklahoma, I don't know the quality of the contractors or the builders. I mean, we can build it around how we have, and he's going to have to add some things into it. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of one-on-one stuff. We've got packages that we're about to roll out, newer packages where we just supply you with mastermind, with the content, with all the other options as far as creating it and posting it. Or you can do the massive package that is just an overwhelming amount of content. Your clients are going to be hit like 240 times a year with videos that make sense. So it's a
I'll
drip.
take the Brooks massive package, please. Sorry, where was I? Just trying to cut you off. I had to say the joke, or it would have bugged me all day. So are you teaming up with, I guess, videographers all over the country? Like, I guess to do
So
this, right? Because like if you're in Toronto, you can't send your videographer out here, so you're gonna have to team up with someone good. Are you recommending people, or are you just like, how does that work?
So the way that we do it is all of our clients are shot. We have a coaching process where you're one-on-one on Zoom, and then you're set up either with your camera, with your Sony, or whatever you have as a mic, as a camera. And we're working with you essentially how we would be doing this. So if we have a script right now, you and I would be going through the script, and we're coaching you how to deliver each line by line, how to emphasize specific terms within it, how to keep your eyes, connected to the camera. Don't be talking like this, try to be less monotone type of thing. But it's all done through Zoom. And then you've got it all set up with the camera, you've got your background, you've got the mics, you've got the lighting, we have the entire platform or process ready to go. So that's how we built it in. When we did it with Envision, and Rich may be able to, I don't know if Rich came through, but we had a studio in-house, and all of our clients would come in and they'd sit with us for 5 or 6 hours, and we'd coach them one-on-one. And then we thought, we actually got approached by the CMO of Real at the time. We were at an event in Utah, and they're like, I love the shit you guys are doing. I love what you've done. I've seen the quality and all this other stuff. How can you build this for for agents within Real? And we thought, how can we do this? How can we work with Sean in Canada or Rebecca in South Carolina? And it's like, well, why don't we utilize Zoom? Why don't we still use the coaching aspect of it and actually get the most out of them? And then the quality of the phone on your camera on your phone is comparable to some of the stuff that we have here. So same high quality. The editing is great. The transitions, the graphics, the captions, all of that's done to your brand. And then we blast it out and send it out.
Are you guys still in the same studio? Because Roland showed me the studio. It's amazing.
No, so we're not in that studio anymore. I have my own little office studio here.
Yeah.
His little garage studio as well that he built out since we kind of moved out of it. What we were finding with Envision, and I'm telling you, it is difficult working with realtors sometimes.
I was gonna say, you have so much patience to tell a realtor how to act on camera. I scream at Kristen all the time. She's my friend. Like, I cannot deal with agents that were just like on camera.
Well, it's I've been there. Like my first video I ever did, I had to change my shirt a couple times. I had sweat pit stain. I'm like, what? And I'm like, I went downstairs. I'm like, you hired this idiot? Like I sound dumb. I started like, you married this idiot. I'm like, I sometimes have this New England accent. I tend to mask quite a bit. So at the beginning that was coming out, but everybody's got the whole, I don't like how I look, I don't like how I sound. That's where the coach comes in, and that's where realtors hire coaches all the time. Why not have somebody kind of walk you through the process of how to deliver something? Our sessions are an hour each, and during that session, they shoot about 6 to 8 short form scripts. They upload it to us. 2 or 3 days later, we deliver the content for them, and it's done. They literally show up two sessions a month, 2 hours a month, and they have anywhere from 12 to 18 short form videos prepared for them professionally.
And it's one of those things that when people see the benefits of it, which takes time, like anything in real estate. Like it's hard to keep clients because they don't see immediate benefit for anything. Like I fired the people doing my Google ads for a while because I didn't see immediate benefits.
Yeah.
Then I rehired them, actually spent more on them, and realized the time it's good, right? But if people do this and they stick the time with it, it's going to pay for itself very quickly.
Yeah, you got to look at this as a farm. So if you're going to door knock in a neighborhood, it's not, maybe you get a listing on the first time, maybe you get a buyer, but that's process, that's showing up and being consistent. Same thing with social media. Same thing with short form. I think you got the dopamine effect when you get all the likes and the comments and the follows and all that type. That stuff is sexy, but I try to tell everybody that's not. I mean, that's a little portion of this. We want to make sure your database and your people see you, the people who you've worked with in the past.
The likes and stuff is good to keep you going, I find, because if you just keep getting shit after shit, it's discouraging. So sometimes I say throw in there something like a meme or something that will do well, just to give you some boost that is to keep going. But yeah, for the most part, that's not always gonna get you the business.
No, it sucks.
It's gonna be the consistency of the regular stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough to. It's a struggle, and I think, and it kind of goes back to being a realtor, right? Or who's going to be able to survive through this? It's like you've got to take the punches. You got to go through the lumps. You got to deal with these ups and these downs, or
you have to enjoy the punches, not even take them. You have to learn to be like, I love a hater on Instagram now. It fuels my fire,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I get inspired seeing a lot of like you guys, what you guys do. I'm like, God damn, Kristen, that was funny as hell. Like just kind of like listening and seeing what you guys do. And I'm like, I got to up my game. I got to do something a little different. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's kind of the thing within this business as well. You can get into real estate and you can work with flips, or you can get into real estate and do probates or divorces, or you can have a farm, or you can cold call. There's so many different ways to make a buck in the industry. It's just like in social media. You can go the funny route and get a shitload of followers and then referrals and base off and start to get leads that way. You can have relevant type content, long form, short form, all that type of stuff. What was it?
Do we have any questions in there? I can't see the thing, Kristen.
Let me see.
No,
we're almost at.
Rebecca's complimenting my whale butthole meme that I posted on Saturday.
I gotta run soon. We're almost the hour mark. We try and keep these short so people don't leave, and so we can cut it down. Do you have any questions, Kristen, or anyone else want to come in here? I think that was full of good stuff, though.
No, but I think I'm definitely going to connect with Brooks over his new company because I think it's pretty genius. There's a lot of us that are trying to make video that just get totally stuck.
Yeah, I've been talking to Brooks for a year or 2 years about how great I think it is and how I'm surprised more people aren't doing what he's doing. Like we have nothing like that in Canada.
That's one thing that's one of the, I mean, Allie's been saying this for months. She's like, nobody does this up here. Rebecca Rowe, what is the biggest struggle you hear from clients and what is your response? The biggest struggle is real estate or within content drip?
With making content.
Yeah. The biggest struggle is confidence is really what it is. And it's, it's kind of like how I look, I sound like this, that, and the other, but it's really just reps. And the way that we structure the scripts, if you have an 8 or a 9 line script that we've prepared, we go over each line 2 or 3 different times. And by the time you've done 3 different scripts, you're like, Jesus, what the hell was I thinking? I've already like ripped through these so many different times. And you start to see how it just comes back. The coaching is a lot of an accountability, right? Show up at this time for an hour. Let's focus. Anybody get dolled up if you need to, get ready to go. Let's focus on this, and then your content's done for the month. You 2 hours out of the month, and you don't have to worry about anything until your next call.
That's another thing like people probably overlook too is the time management with it. Like I'm not scared to go on camera, but I'm terrible at planning out my content. Or I'm like, oh, it's rain. I'll look at the little thing. Like it's raining today. I'll do it tomorrow when it's a better day. Like all these things where if you have someone you're working with, you're gonna be there for it and you're gonna do it, right? Like it's like a coach. Like coaches sometimes won't tell you anything new, but they'll keep you accountable.
Totally. I've done Tom Ferry multiple times in my career, and realtors understand the coaching process, and they understand you need to show up every other Thursday for an hour or half an hour or whatever you have and stay focused. What would change through this? But it's the quality of what I think where we differ from anybody that has this type of, or anybody that's attempting to do something like this. Our coaches they're solid. I mean, it's fun. Let's get shit moving. Let's go. Let's bang these babies out. You're done and you're over, and then you're done for content for the month. So it's pretty cool. I have fun with
Even
it.
when I'm like getting a schedule going good, I'll get busy and then push things, you know what I mean? So if I had the coach, I would show up for it. So like even this week, I pushed so many things aside because I was way busier. It's like crap, you know what I mean? That's where I struggle big time too. So.
Rebecca,
I
yeah.
have a question.
Shoot.
So I noticed that a lot of your reels are just you talking in the car, and then you have like your professional reels. What do you see on the analytics behind your in the car videos, which are hilarious, and your professional videos, like where you're at in the studio?
So great question. Excuse me. I believe that I'm all big on acronyms, right? So I have a PPP method. One of it's professionalism, it's proof, and it's personality. And I think if you structure your content around that, around those 3 Ps, it's going to allow you to build your brand and resonate with people. So I do try to throw the kids in. I do try to make a bold statement on, you know, in the car about somebody who's number one, whatever the case may be. But you always want to show your proof as well. Our proof is the listings that we took, the buyers we represented. Those are all day. But the professionalism turns into, you know, what happened with the NAR settlement and how that's going to affect you in the local market. And then your personality is you with the kids, you know, or you doing whatever you would do. So I think that's where people resonate with, and I think that's where you're going to be able to stand out is if you can get those 3 Ps down. It's pretty, I mean, that's how you grow your brand, right? People know, like, and trust you through that. I resonate with Rebecca because this, that, and the other, oh, you know, or whatever the case may be. But
Awesome.
Cool, thank you.
Everyone follow Brooks.
yeah,
Drop the link to your company. I keep saying Envision. I know that's your original one. I keep wanting to say Envision.
I know
Sorry.
you're actually bringing it's kind of a sore topic, bro. You keep talking about. No, I'm just messing with you.
Hey, I'm sorry.
No,
I gotta run though. That was amazing, Brooks story. I don't want to keep him too long. You know, I know you're a busy guy too. So
yeah, no worries. Let me so I'll shoot. You guys can follow me at content drip, at content_drip, or this is soon to be that's the website in the chat. We have a whole new revamped website that we're building out as well as we release the rest of them. So I'm always here to help, guys. If you need anything, don't hesitate to message me. And I appreciate you guys for hopping on and chatting today.
Awesome.
Brooks
Thank you so
Landry,
much.
half hour from Oakland. All right, we'll see you later, buddy. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys, take care.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.